Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. Welcome back to another Hogs of War tutorial. Today, how to play Hogs of War, the PS1 version on your PC, as well as online multiplayer. So you want to kick things off by going to epsxe.com, which you'll find the emulator to be housed in the downloads section. So click on downloads, and you want this bad boy here. If you're on Linux or if you're on a Mac or an Android, you can use those. But for Windows, this is the latest version. If you scroll down, you'll notice that there are other versions, so you can try those out as well if you really want to, see which ones work best for you. But the most latest version is very helpful for online multiplayer. So once you've got that downloaded, it should download, I believe, or download a zip. In here you'll find all this. You want to extract it to any folder that you want. And then once you have it extracted to wherever you want to, before you do anything, you want to sort out the BIOS. Now, these bad boys right here will be linked in the description. You can download them, and you want to place them into this BIOS folder. Now, the BIOS is essentially the key that allows you to play Hogs of War or any PS1 game on this emulator. It's the operating system that the emulator uses to run. So once you have the BIOS downloaded, you then want to come down here to the application, double click on that, and it'll bring up the actual emulator. So then you want to go to Configure and Wizard Guide. I think it might do it automatically for some of you. It might automatically bring you to the Wizard Guide, but that's the manual way of doing it. So you want to hit Config, and then here we have the BIOS. So if you have the US version of the game of Hogs of War, then you want to hit US version. Or if you have the European version, which is PAL, you want to hit the European version. I'm using the US version, so I'm going to hit Next. And then you have settings for video, and then sound, and CD-ROMs. So I'm going to go with just the default for all of them, because that's fine. You can mess around with them if you really want to, and then once that's done, you can enter your controls. If you have a USB controller, you can plug that in and use that, and then input your controls in here. And then you can also input keyboard controls if you really want them as well. So mine's all good and done. Once that's done, configuration is set up. And then to launch the game, so long as you have a version of Hogs of War of the PS1 version, go to Run ISO, and then select that version and launch. Sometimes you may find that the emulator runs the game super fast, but to fix that, you want to go to Options, CPU Overclocking, and have it set to ×1. If that doesn't work, you can also go to Config, Video, and you have a bunch of settings here that you can mess with to make it look better, increase the resolution, color, just a whole bunch of things that you can play around with. But you want to come down here to FPS limit and have it set to 200, and you can also just mess around with the FPS settings as well. So you want to have this checked, and hopefully that should fix it for you. So that is the emulator and how to configure it. But you're probably asking, well, how do I get a copy of the game? How do I play the PlayStation version if I don't have the PlayStation version? Well, that's where the issue arises with emulators. Emulators are legal, but copies of ROMs are technically illegal. So I can't offer you guys any copies of Hogs of War. It's completely up to you to maybe scour the internet and find a copy, but I don't endorse that in any way. I'm just making that clear for everybody that's watching. This is a tutorial, but I'm afraid I can't help you when it comes to getting a copy of Hogs of War. If you own a copy, you can burn it to your computer, and that is, as far as I'm aware, fine because you own that copy of the game. But I don't know, the idea of emulators and ROMs is kind of a grey area. So I'm sorry if that annoys anybody, but for those of you who have a copy of the game, if you want to then do online multiplayer, we're going to have to take a look at Parsec. So you'll remember a few months ago I made a tutorial with Caster showing you guys how to play online Hogs of War with your friends through the use of Parsec, but Parsec has updated since then, so I figured I'd give a more updated overview of how things are looking. So this is arcade mode, where you'll find random people sharing their games and having people join. You have to be on Windows 10 to host, so if you're on Windows 7 or Windows 8, then you're going to need a friend who can host, as they'll be on Windows 10. So if you are on Windows 10, you want to come to Computers, and you can share your PC with your friends, because you can also add friends, send them the link, and then they can connect to your PC. When they connect, they'll then show up down here in this bottom bar. Their icons will be there and you can accept them in. You can also set settings as well. You can give them keyboard controls or mouse controls, or they can even connect without you having to approve, but obviously, you know, make sure that you trust your friends, because otherwise they'll have full access to your computer and you may not want that. But the other thing to note is if you are hosting, you have specific host settings down here. Some key ones to take note of are relating to echo cancellation. If you're on Discord with your friends, you want to have that on, because we've had issues before with people's microphones echoing and stuff like that. So do keep that in mind, and you can mess with these settings if you really want to. But you also want to go to approved apps. This is important because this is where you can approve the use of the emulator specifically. Yeah, make sure that you have the emulator open, and it should appear down here unticked. Just tick it and then it will be approved. And what that means is that when your friends connect to your PC and show up in their icons down here, as soon as you open the emulator, they will be able to see your screen and they can see the emulator. And from there, you can then go to config, gamepads, port 1, and these pads here. If these are grayed out, then you want to go to multi-tap and make sure that that is selected. Pad 1 is obviously player 1, your controls. Pad 2, player 2. Pad 3, player 3. Pad 4, player 4. So you have complete 4-player control, and from here you can then add player 2 and then just click, and then they can input their controls with their controller, and from there you can then launch the game. And that is how you play online Hogs of War multiplayer. That's how we do it. That's how I've been making videos on it all the time. I still have a ton of multiplayer footage to go through and make videos of, so I hope you guys can stick around for that. And if you have any other questions relating to this tutorial and anything else in between, let me know in the comments. I'll help you out as much as possible. If you haven't joined the Discord already, then please do. As always, we are growing in numbers day by day. Come join. I hope you can. But in the meantime, that's going to wrap it up, so I will catch you guys later for the next one.
Destination going.